Sit still, little one. I want to remember this moment. I felt the shift in the wind. So many souls guided here by moonlight and wonder. Come close. This story wants to be heard.
Thanks, Husky, for letting me know. Not me trying to answer stuff. Oh my god. Anyway, hi. Scriptsune, your book reading kitsune here. I hope you guys had a great week. Don't mind the scuff. Sometimes that happens when I open up the program. It forgets that my microphone exists, and 1 out of 10 streams starts with me muted because of that reason. But anyway, thank you, Husky, for letting me know. Damn Fox, no, damn Husky. Fluff you. I'm your mod, I have to. Yeah, you better. Fluff you. So, as I was saying, we are going to be doing the last 5 chapters of the book today. And for those of you, because it's been a week, a little bit of a refresher, what happened in the book was that the big antagonist, which is Tiger Star, was actually killed by the Blood Clan leader. Oh, thank you for the headpiece. You know that I actually rigged this model myself? I actually also made a model that Husky there, my mod, actually has to make for their friend. And they're struggling with it. It also has kind of like the 3D effect that the muzzle on this one has, but it's actually for a plague doctor. Don't bring that up. Oh, Husky. Comically normal bow. Okay, so the joke behind the normal bow is because the default's actually the comically large bow. The fucking model is a monster. Yeah, it is a monster. Yeah. Have you seen that tongue? But yeah, also I did reply to what you said, but of course Mike was muted. I said that yes, I did take a nap and I had a headache when I woke up, so I took some medicine and it's already going away. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to. And I've been having insomnia lately, and that's why I took a nap so I could be rested. It's kind of weird because I'm always dead tired during the day, and then as soon as it turns nighttime, I'm wide the fuck awake. This bastard made the model and has me rigging it, and I have no idea what I'm doing. You're gonna fight me? No, you're not. You know, you're gonna have to just get good at rigging because you're gonna have to do your own eventually too. And you're gonna have me do the art for that one too, so you this is your trial, you know? Get more eat no, you get more eat, fucker. Yours is gonna be so bad. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not gonna be that bad. It's okay. It's fine. So if you guys have any questions about the book before we start beginning, like reading chapter 26 through 30, feel free to ask, because this is the beginning of the stream, so this is like when I'm explaining the book and also my, schedule. So next week, if you were here last week and were here during stream, I said that I was going to do another hand cam stream once this book was complete, so that means next Friday there's going to be a hand cam stream, and we're going to be having these little cupcakes that we build. Also, thank you for the follow. Hi, welcome in. I hope you're here to enjoy a good story, because we're going to be doing a lot of book reading today. This is the beginning of the stream, so you got here nice and early. Be in and out as you can. Alright, Husky. If you need to lurk, yep, there you go. Have fun, Husky. Go deal with Wampus and Ark. They need your attention. So, for those of you that are new, hi, I am Scriptsune, the book reading kitsune. And I am reading the Warrior series. We are currently on book 6 of the first portion of the series, the set of series. And this series is called The Beginning of the Prophecy series, and this is the very start, that the first books that were printed for the different series. Sandwich says that last time he looked at you, he slept well. Oh, nice! That's very good, that's very good. If you slept well, then everything has been achieved. We're here to relax and just listen to stories. When I had originally gotten into the Warrior series, I had only gotten up to book 3, and now I have the entire series to go through on stream, so that's pretty nice, And after this one's done, we can either decide to go to my other series I have, which is the Ranger's Apprentice, which I believe I got to like either book 6 or 7, but there's like 12 books. If we decide to go to that one as an interlude, we're gonna have to finish all 12 before we can move back to the Warrior series, or we could just move through all the Warrior series and then move on to the Ranger's Apprentice series. I think I'm gonna make a poll when we get to that point, which would be after this book. So if anyone needs the Discord, then let me go ahead and pop that up. I have a chaotic little community. I started that with my other channel, which is currently on hiatus and is my normal channel for like game streams. But if you feel like joining, you can vote on the poll later when I pop it up. And you can say hi to everyone else that's super crazy. Did Did I finish this bottle? Yes, I did, I think. Hang on, let me get the last few drops out of this water bottle. I have another one. Sandwich said he'd be back. He told me he was going to get a muffin. I didn't even know we had any at home. Okay. Well, muffins are nice, especially when they're nice and, moist. Some people hate that word, but I enjoy the word. Moist. There's another word I had actually said at some point, and someone's like, don't say that. I'm like, I don't understand why people hate it, because it just rolls off the tongue so easily. Anyway, so for those of you that don't know, the prophecy of this book is 4 will become 2, lion and tiger will meet in battle, and blood will rule the forest. So currently, so far, the clans have been split into 2 factions, and Tiger Star has died, so they haven't actually met in battle yet. So I'm kind of wondering if the 2 factions are going to fight, and if the Blood Clan will actually take over in the series. We're gonna have to see. I'm gonna go ahead and start reading now, but feel free to lurk, get a snack, drink. You can chat to me while I am reading. I am capable of switching back and forth. So please enjoy your time and have a wonderful evening. Chapter 26. Firestar wondered if the rest of his clan had noticed his absence, and if they were worrying about him. He knew that he should go back to the camp, but for a short time he stayed where he was on top of the rock, watching the dawn light spread above the forest. The territory on the far side of the river was still silent. Firestar tried to imagine how Leopardstar was coping. He guessed that the Shadow Clan warriors who had fled into her territory would be unwelcome guests, with no prey to spare through the harsh moons of Leafbear. Then he sat bolt upright, fur bristling and ears pricked. Something had just occurred to him, and he couldn't think why he hadn't thought of it before. Maybe Thunder Clan wasn't as outnumbered as he feared. Across the river, the warriors of the 2 clans with Tiger Star dead, none of them had any reason to support Blood Clan. Oh? Everyone in chat, make sure to bap the fox regularly. No, Husky! I'm gonna bap you, I swear. Mouse brain, he murmured out loud. There was a chance that all the 4 forest clans could join together to drive out the lethal cats that threatened every paw step of their lives. 4 would not become 2. 4 would become 1. But not in the way that Tiger Star had intended. As the first glittering rays of the sun appeared above the horizon, Firestar leaped down from the rock and raced downstream towards the stepping stones. Firestar! Firestar! The yell brought him up short just as he came in sight of the stones. He turned to see a ThunderClan patrol emerge from the trees behind him. Graystripe was in the lead, followed by Sandstorm, Cloudtail, and Bramblepaw. Where have you been? Sandstorm mewed crossly as she picked her way towards him. We've been worried sick. Sorry. Firestar gave her ear an apologetic lick. I needed to think a few things out. That's all. Whitestorm said you would be okay, Graystripe meowed, and Cinderpelt didn't seem worried. I got the feeling she knew more than she was telling. Well, I'm here now, Firestar mewed briskly. And I'm glad I've met you. I'm going over in the River Clan territory. And it'll look better if I take some warriors with me. River Clan? Cloudtail looked amazed. What do you want with them? I'm going to ask them to fight with us against Scourge tomorrow. The young warrior stared. Are you out of your mind? Leopard Star will rip your fur off. I don't think she will. Now that Tiger Star is dead, she won't want Blood Clan in the forest any more than we do. Cloudtail shrugged, and Greystripe was looking uncertain too. But Sandstorm's green eyes glowed with delight. I knew you would think of a way to defeat Blood Clan, she purred. Let's go. Firestar turned to lead the way to the stepping stones, but paused as Bramblepaw padded up to him. Firestar, can we talk to Tawnypaw if she's there? His apprentice asked hopefully. His voice quivered. There might not be another chance. Firestar hesitated. Yes, if you see her, he meowed. Get her side of the story, then we'll decide what to do. Thanks, Firestar. Bramblepaw's eyes shone with relief. Firestar slipped down the bank to the stepping stones, with his warriors behind him. As he led the way across, he kept alert for movement on the opposite side of the river. But he saw nothing. There had not even been a River Clan patrol, though by now the sun was well above the horizon. Reaching the far bank, Firestar turned upriver towards the River Clan camp. Before he reached it, he came to a stream that led to the clearing of the Bone Hill. A shudder ran through him as he remembered the last time he had been here. The reek of crow food was fainter now, but the scent of many cats came to him on the breeze. Firestar recognized the mingled scent of Tiger Clan. Once so ominous, but now almost familiar compared with the stench of Blood Clan. I think they must be in the clearing by the Bone Hill, he mewed over his shoulder. Some of them, at least. But go and see. Greystripe, keep a lookout. Greystripe fell back as Firestar followed the stream, creeping quietly through the reeds until he came to the edge of the clearing. Peering out, he saw that the Bone Hill was already beginning to crumble, so that it looked like nothing more than a heap of rubbish. The stream was no longer choked with rotting prey, and there was a small heap of fresh kill, as if cats had begun to establish a new camp. Several warriors were huddled in the clearing, with ungroomed fur and dull, staring eyes. Firestar was surprised to see cats from both River Clan and Shadow Clan. He had expected to find only Shadow Clan warriors setting up a camp here, while River Clan occupied the old camp on the island upriver. Leopard Star was crouched at the foot of the Bone Hill. She was gazing straight in front of her, and Firestar thought she must have seen him, but she gave no sign. The Shadow Clan deputy, Blackfoot, lay close by. As his initial surprise ebbed, Firestar felt relieved that he would be able to deal with straight away with Leopard Star, who was obviously trying to rule both clans. He glanced back at Sandstorm. What's wrong with them? He murmured. He would almost have believed that the warriors were sick, but there was no taint of sickness in the air. Sandstorm shook her head helplessly, and Firestar turned back to the clearing. He had come here looking for a fighting force, but these cats appeared to be half dead. Still, there was no sense in going back. Signaling with his tail for his own cats to follow, he stepped into the clearing. No cat challenged him, although one or two of the warriors raised their heads and gave him an incurious stare. With a glance at Firestar, Bramblepaw slipped away to look for Tawnypaw. Sandwich was right. I don't know where he found the muffins, but he brought them back to me. Oh my. Nice. You munch on those muffins. Leopard Star struggled to her paws. Firestar. Her voice rasped, as if she had not used it in many days. What do you want? To talk to you, Firestar replied. Leopardstar, what's going on here? What's the matter with you all? Why aren't you in your old camp? Leopardstar held his gaze for a long moment. I am the sole leader of Tiger Clan now, she meowed at last, a spark of pride returning to her dull eyes. The old River Clan camp is too small to hold both clans. We let the queens and kits and elders stay there, with some warriors to guard them. She let out a spurt of mocking laughter. But what's the point? Blood Clan will slaughter us all. You mustn't think like that, he urged the River Clan leader. If we all stand together, we can drive out Blood Clan. A wild light shone in Leopardstar's eyes. You mouse-brained fool, she spat. Drive out Blood Clan? How do you think you're going to do that? Tigerstar was the greatest warrior this forest had ever seen, and he saw what Scourge did to him. I know, Firestar replied steadily, hiding the shiver of sheer dread that ran through him. But Tigerstar faced Scourge alone. We can join together as one to fight him, so that afterwards we can be 4 clans again, according to the warrior code. Hi Wampus, welcome in. A sneering look crossed Leopardstar's face, and she made no reply. What will you do then? Firestar asked. Leave the forest? Leopardstar hesitated, tossing her head from side to side, as if the effort of talking to Firestar irritated her. I sent a scouting party to look for places to stay beyond high stones, she admitted. But we have young kids, and 2 of our elders are ill. Not every cat can go, and the ones that stay will die. They don't have to die, Firestar promised her desperately. ThunderClan and WindClan are going to fight. Stand with us. He expected further mockery, but Leopardstar was looking at him more intently now. Nearby, Blackfoot scrambled to his paws and padded over to stand beside her. As he faced the ThunderClan cats, Firestar heard a low snarl from Greystripe, and he saw his friend begin to flex his claws. He gave the Grey Warrior a warning flick with his tail. He loathed Blackfoot just as much as Greystripe did. But for now, they would have to be allies in order to face an even greater enemy. Are you mouse-brained? The ShadowClan deputy growled. You can't seriously be thinking of joining these fools. They're not strong enough to tackle Blood Clan. They'll get us all torn apart. Leopardstar gave him a cold look, and Firestar realized with a sudden burst of hope that she didn't like Blackfoot any more than he did. Stonefur, who had died under the Black and White Warrior's claws, had been her trusted deputy. I am the leader here, Blackfoot, she pointed out. I make the decisions, and I'm not ready to give up yet. Not if there's a chance of driving out Blood Clan, all right? She meowed, facing Firestar again. What's your plan? Firestar wished he had some clever trick to offer. Some way of driving out Blood Clan that wouldn't risk the lives of every cat in the forest. But there was no trick. The path to victory, if there were one, would be hard and painful. At dawn tomorrow, he replied. ThunderClan and WindClan will meet Blood Clan at 4 Trees. If ShadowClan and RiverClan join us, we'll be twice as strong. And you will lead us? Asked Leopardstar. Reluctantly, she added. I haven't the strength now to take my cats into battle. Firestar blinked in surprise. He had expected Leopardstar to demand authority over the other clans. He wasn't at all sure that he himself was strong enough to take on the leadership in her place. But he could see that he had no choice. If that is your wish, then yes, I will, he replied. Lead us? The voice, harsh with mockery, came from behind Firestar. A kitty pet? Are you out of your mind, Leopardstar? Firestar turned, knowing what he would see. Darkstripe was thrusting his way through a little group of his former clanmates. Firestar stared at him. In ThunderClan, Darkstripe had always been sleek. Now, his black striped coat was dull, as if he stopped caring for it. He looked gaunt, and the tip of his tail twitched nervously. Only the cold hostility in his eyes was familiar, and the insolence with which he looked Firestar up and down as he came to a stop in front of the leaders. Darkstripe. Firestar acknowledged him with a nod. Though he could never truly pity the Dark Warrior, he felt a pang to see how haunted he looked, his eyes empty, as if he were already being punished for betraying his birth clan. Leopardstar stepped forwards. Darkstripe, this isn't your decision, she meowed. We should kill you or drive you out. Darkstripe snarled at Firestar. He turned Scourge against Tigerstar. It's your fault he died. My fault? Firestar gasped in astonishment. The dark tabby's eyes burned with hatred, and Firestar knew that in his own way, Darkstripe was grieving for the dead leader. Now that Tigerstar was dead, Darkstripe was utterly alone. No, Darkstripe. It was Tigerstar's own fault. If he hadn't brought BloodClan into the forest, none of this would have happened. And how did it happen? Greystripe broke in. That's what I'd like to know. What was Tigerstar thinking of? Didn't he see what he was letting loose in the forest? He thought it was for the best. Leopardstar tried to defend Tigerstar, though her words sounded hollow. He believed the forest cats would be safer if they all joined together under his leadership, and he thought BloodClan would convince you he was right. A snort of contempt came from Greystripe, but Leopardstar ignored it. Instead, she flicked her tail, and another cat came up, a skinny gray tom with a ragged ear. Firestar recognized him as Boulder, one of the rogue cats Tigerstar had taken into ShadowClan. Boulder, tell Firestar what happened, Leopardstar ordered. The ShadowClan warrior looked thin and tired as he met Firestar's gaze. I belonged to BloodClan once, he confessed. I left many moons ago, but Tigerstar knew about my past. He asked me to take him to the Two-Leg Place because he needed more cats to make sure ShadowClan controlled the forest. He glanced down at his paws, his ears twitching uncomfortably. I tried to tell Tigerstar that Scourge was dangerous, but neither of us imagined what he would do. Tigerstar offered Scourge a share of the forest. If he could bring his cats to help him fight, he thought that once he'd made all the other clans join TigerClan, he could get rid of BloodClan. The worst part is the muffin was good, and he told me there had been some at the house since yesterday, which means I could have eaten them yesterday. Oh, hoarding the muffins to themselves. But he was wrong, Firestar murmured, feeling again that strange grief he had felt when he saw his oldest enemy lying dead at his paws. We couldn't believe it when he died. Boulder's eyes were stunned, as if he were sharing Firestar's memory. We thought nothing could ever defeat Tigerstar. When BloodClan attacked our camp after Tigerstar died, we were too shocked to fight. Though not all of us left, some cats thought it would be safer to join Scourge. Jagged Tooth, for one. Boulder's voice grew bitter. It would be worth fighting BloodClan to get my claws into that traitor's fur. Then will you do it? Firestar glanced around and realized that all the cats in the clearing had drawn closer, and were silently listening. Only a Blackfoot and Darkstripe stood aloof, at the edge of the crowd. "Stand with us, and WindClan tomorrow?" The cats remained silent, waiting for Leopardstar to speak. Sandwich said he came back. He finished eating. Oh, alright. Welcome back. "I don't know," she mewed. "Maybe the battle is already lost. I need time to think." "There's not much time left," Sandstorm pointed out. Firestar gathered his own warriors together with a sweep of his tail and beckoned them over to the side with clearing. "Think now, Leopardstar," he meowed. "We'll wait." The RiverClan leader flashed him a defiant glance, as if she were going to insist that she would take as much time as she needed. But she said nothing, only drawing 2 or 3 of the RiverClan warriors closer to her and speaking to them in a low, urgent voice. Anger burning in his eyes, Blackfoot thrust his way towards to join them. The rest of the cats stayed in their frozen, wretched silence, and Firestar couldn't help wondering what kind of fighting force they would make. "How mousebrained can they be?" growled Cloudtail. "What's to discuss? Leopardstar says they can't leave safely. What else can they do but fight?" "Be quiet, Cloudtail," Firestar ordered. "Firestar," Bramblepaw's voice interrupted him. Firestar turned to see his apprentice standing a tail length away, with Tawnypaw close beside him. "Tawnypaw wants to talk to you." The young she-cat returned Firestar's gaze steadily, reminding him irresistibly of her formidable mother, Goldenflower. "Well, Tawnypaw," he prompted. "Bramblepaw says I should tell you why I left ThunderClan," Tawnypaw meowed, without preamble. "But you already know, don't you? I wanted to be judged for what I was, not for what my father did. I needed to feel like I belonged." "No cat thought you didn't belong," Firestar protested. Sandwich is sad because he notices that we always say pet cat, but never pet sandwich. I mean, you can pet the sandwich in your belly. Tawnypaw faced him with a glint in her eyes. "Firestar, I don't believe that," she meowed, "and neither do you." Firestar felt his fur flush, hot with guilt. "I made a mistake," he admitted. "I looked at both of you, and all I could see was your father. Other cats did too, but I didn't want you to leave." "Other cats did," Tawnypaw meowed quietly. "She could still come back into the clan, couldn't she?" Bramblepaw pleaded. "Hang on a minute," Tawnypaw interrupted sharply. "I'm not asking you if I can come back. All I want is to be a loyal cat in my new clan." Her eyes were shining. "I want to be the best warrior I can be," she went on. "I can't be that in ThunderClan." Firestar could hardly bear to see all the courage and loyalty that they were losing. "I'm sorry you left ThunderClan," he meowed. "And I wish you well, Tawnypaw. I really believe that if all 4 clans fight tomorrow, we can win back the forest. ShadowClan will survive, and be a clan you can be proud of. A clan that would be proud of you." Tawnypaw gave him a short nod. "Thank you." Bramblepaw looked distraught, but Firestar knew there was nothing more to say. The sound of his name distracted him, and he turned to see that Leopardstar was padding towards him across the clearing. "I have made my decision," she told him. Firestar felt his heart begin to pound. Everything rested on Leopardstar's choice. Without the support of RiverClan and ShadowClan, even with the warriors in such a pitiful state, there was no hope of driving BloodClan out of the forest. The few heartbeats before Leopard Star reached him seemed to stretch out to a moon. RiverClan will fight against BloodClan tomorrow, she announced. And so will ShadowClan, Blackfoot added, walking up behind her. His eyes flashed at Leopard Star as he silently asserted his authority. Even though Firestar was relieved that the leaders had chosen to fight, he noticed some doubtful looks among the other cats. Darkstripe was the only one to speak out loud. "You're all mad," he spat. "Joining a kitty pet? Well, I'm not going to follow him, whatever any cat says." "You'll obey orders," snapped Leopard Star. "Make me," Darkstripe retorted. "You're not my leader." For a few heartbeats, Leopard Star looked at him with cold eyes. Then she shrugged. "Thanks, StarClan, I'm not. You're about as much use as a dead fox." "Very well, Darkstripe. Do as you like." The Dark Warrior hesitated, looking from Leopard Star to Blackfoot and back again, and then around at the rest of the clearing. The warriors were still murmuring among themselves, and none of them paid any attention to Darkstripe. He glanced back at Leopard Star as if he were about to speak, but the RiverClan leader had already turned away. Darkstripe swung around with his vicious snarl at Firestar. "You fools! You'll all be ripped apart tomorrow." He stalked away in dead silence. The cats parted to let him go and watched him until he disappeared into the reeds. Firestar wondered where the solitary warrior could possibly go now. Leopard Star stepped forwards. "I swear by StarClan that we will meet you at dawn tomorrow at 4 Trees. We will fight with you in WindClan against BloodClan." More briskly, she added, "Shadepelt, we send out hunting patrols. We'll need all of our strength for tomorrow." A dark gray RiverClan she-cat flicked her tail and began moving through the cats, choosing warriors for the patrols. Leopard Star looked at the bone hill with deep sadness in her eyes, and a shiver ran through her molted pelt. "We must pull this down," she murmured. "It belongs to a darker time." She dug her claws into the heap of prey bones, slowly and hesitantly, as if they still thought that Tiger Star might appear and accuse them of treachery. Her warriors joined her, bone by bone. The pile was scattered across the clearing. Blackfoot and a few of the ShadowClan warriors stood watching a little way off. The deputy's face was shadowed, and it was impossible to guess what he was thinking. Firestar drew his own followers away. He had succeeded in what he set out to do, and he could not help admiring Leopard Star's courage. But instead of satisfaction, he felt a dark surge of foreboding as he cast one glance at the 2 clans in the clearing. What if I've condemned them all to death? That was the end of chapter 26. Sandwich thought to himself that it was still a sandwich listening to a fox telling a story about cats. Yes. The only response to that is yes. You're listening to a fox talk about cats. If you were here earlier with this specific book, it would have also been talking about dogs. Chapter 27. It was the time before dawn when the moon had set, but the sun had yet to streak the horizon with milky fingers of light. The night was still and cold, black like frozen water. Firestar padded out of his den. The clearing was empty, but he could hear the faint sounds of warriors waking up. Frost glittered on the ground, while above his head, Silverpelt flowed like a river across the sky. Pausing to drink in the night air, filled with the sense of so many familiar cats, Firestar felt every hair on his pelt stand up. This could be the last morning he would ever spend in camp. It could be the last morning for any clan. He felt as if everything were spinning, out of his control. But when he looked for strength in the knowledge that StarClan controlled his fate, he found only uncertainty. Sandwich says that if we replace the word cat in the story with the word sandwich, it becomes a humor book. Yes, it would be very interesting to see sandwiches have claws and attacking each other. Firestar sighed and shook himself before walking over to the fern tunnel that led to Cinderpelt's den. The medicine cat was dragging herbs and berries into the clearing, where Fernpaw was making them into bundles ready to carry. Is everything ready? Firestar asked. I think so. Pain filled Cinderpelt's blue eyes, as if she were already seeing the wounded cats who would soon need her help. I'll need more cats to carry this all up to 4 trees. Fernpaw, I can't manage this on our own. You can have all the apprentices, Firestar meowed. Fernpaw, will you go and tell them? The young she-cat dipped her head and hurried off. Once we get there, the other apprentices will be needed to fight, Firestar went on. But Fernpaw can stay with you. Find somewhere well out of the way. I think there's a sheltered hollow on the other side of the stream. Cinderpelt bristled. Firestar, you don't mean that. What use will I be if I'm not there where the fighting is? But the cats need you, Firestar insisted. If you're injured, what happens to the rest of us? Fernpaw and I can take care of ourselves. We're not helpless kits, you know. Cinderpelt's tart response reminded Firestar of her mentor, Yellowfang. Sighing, he padded up to the medicine cat and touched noses with her. Have it your own way, he meowed. I know I can't say anything to change your mind, but please, be careful. Cinderpelt let out a soft purr. Don't worry, Firestar. We'll be fine. Have StarClan spoken to you about the battle? Firestar forced himself to speak. No, I haven't seen any omens at all. The medicine cat raised her eyes to Silverpelt, where it was fading in the pre-dawn sky. It's not like StarClan to be silent when something so important is going to happen. I had a dream from them, Cinderpelt. Firestar told her hesitantly, but I'm not sure I understand it, and there isn't time to tell you all of it now. I just hope it means something good for us. There was curiosity in Cinderpelt's blue eyes as he spoke of his dream at Sunning Rocks, but she did not question him. Firestar returned through the fern tunnel and crossed the clearing to the Elder's den. On the way, he passed Brackenfur on watch and waved a greeting with his tail. When he reached the fallen tree, charred by the fire that had swept through the camp last Greenleaf, Firestar found all the elders still sleeping except for Speckletail, who sat with her tail curled around her paws. The she-cat rose to her paws as Firestar came towards her. Is it time? Yes, Firestar replied. We'll be leaving soon. But you're not coming with us, Speckletail. What? The fur on Speckletail's shoulders stiffened with annoyance. Why not? We may be elders, but we're not useless. Do you really think we're going to sit back and... Speckletail, listen. This is important. If you're honest, you know that Small Ear and One Eye would barely make it to Four Trees. Never mind fight when they got there. And Dappletail is getting very frail. I can't lead them into battle against Scourge. And what about me? I know you're a fighter, Speckletail. Firestar had thought carefully about what he was going to say, but with the elder glaring at him, he felt like a raw apprentice again. That's why I need you here. There'll be the other 3 elders here, and Willowpelt's kids. They learned some defensive moves, but they're not ready for battle. I'm putting you in charge of the camp while the rest of us are away. But Oh. Speckletail broke off as she understood what Firestar was asking her to do. Slowly, the fur on her shoulders lay flat again. I see. All right, Firestar. You can count on me. Thank you. Firestar blinked his gratitude at her. If the battle goes badly, we try to fall back here and reinforce you. But we might not make it. If Blood Clan comes here, you'll be all that's left of Thunder Clan. His eyes met Speckletail's. You'll need to get the kids and elders away. Try to cross the river. Head for Barley's farm. Right. Speckletail gave him a brisk nod. I'll do the best I can. Turning, she looked over to where Brightheart slept, in the shelter of the tree trunk. What about her? Brightheart is as strong as any warrior now, Fireheart meowed, his heart lifting. She's coming with us. He patted over and nudged the young she-cat with one paw. Wake up, Brightheart. It's time to go. Brightheart blinked up at him with her good eye, then rose and stretched. Okay, Firestar. I'm ready. She was heading out into the clearing when Firestar called her back. Brightheart, if we come through this, you'll be sleeping in the warrior's den from now on. Brightheart's ears pricked, and she seemed to stand taller. Thank you, Firestar. She meowed and dashed off, all of her drowsiness vanished. Dipping his head in farewell to Speckletail, Firestar followed Brightheart into the clearing. By now, the other cats had begun to emerge from their dens. The apprentices, Featherpaw and Stormpaw among them, were clustered around Cinderpelt, each carrying a bundle of herbs. Dustpelt was with them, speaking urgently in a low voice to Fernpaw. Closer to the warrior's den, Brightheart had joined Cloudtail, while Mousefur and Longtail stalked around each other in a final practice of their fighting moves. As Firestar watched, Greystripe and Sandstorm slipped out from between the branches of the den, with Thornclaw and Mistyfoot just behind. Whitestorm came up and urged the cats towards the nettle patch, where a piece of fresh kill. Firestar felt a rush of pride. These were his cats, brave and loyal, every one of them. Above him, the outlines of bare branches had begun to show black against the sky. Firestar felt a moment of sheer terror at the reminder of the approaching sunrise. He forced himself to stride confidently across the clearing until he joined Whitestorm beside the fresh kill pile. This is it, the White Warrior meowed. Firestar took a roll from the pile of fresh kill. His belly was churning with tension, but he forced himself to swallow a few mouthfuls. Firestar, Whitestorm continued after a moment. I just want to say that Bluestar could not have led us better in these terrible days. I've been proud to serve as your deputy. Firestar stared at him. Whitestorm, you're talking as if... He couldn't put what he was afraid into words. The older warrior's respect meant more to him than he could say, and he couldn't imagine how he would cope if Whitestorm did not come back from the battle. Whitestorm concentrated on the blackbird he was eating, avoiding his eyes, and didn't say any more. The camp was still dark when Speckletail emerged with the other elders to see the warriors off. Willowpelt's kids rushed out of the nursery to say goodbye to their mother and Sandstorm. They looked excited. They didn't fully understand what the clan was going to face. Sandwich thinks about the fact that a fox sandwich is physically impossible. Physically possible. What? A fox sandwich is physically possible. Are you talking about eating me? What? What? I hope you're not talking about eating me. That's. You're not gonna eat me, are you? I hope not. Well, Firestar, Cloudtail meowed. Is everything ready? The tip of his tail twitched nervously as he admitted, I'll be a lot happier when we're on the move. Firestar swallowed the last of his roll. So will I, Cloudtail, he replied. Let's go. Rising to his paws, he gathered his clan with a flick of his tail. As his gaze met Sandstorm's, he felt strengthened to see her green eyes glow with trust and love. Cats of ThunderClan, Firestar called. We go now to fight against BloodClan. We're not alone. Remember, there are 4 clans in the forest, and always will be. And the other 3 will fight with us today. We will drive out these evil cats. His warriors sprang up, yowling their agreement. Firestar turned and began to lead them through the gorse tunnel and up the ravine towards 4 trees. When he paused at the top for a last glance back at the camp, he did not know if he would ever see his beloved home again. That is the end of chapter 27. So I will be taking a short break and then we will come back and start reading chapter 28. Sandwich wonders if intelligence changes the taste of meat. Sandwich wonders if he should eat a fox that can be. No! Don't eat me! I swear I do not taste good. I'll be all gamey and it would taste foul, you know? Just because I eat chicken doesn't mean I'll taste like chicken. Silly sandwich. Chapter 28. The first faint streaks of dawn were showing as Firestar approached four trees. Pausing on the bank of the stream, he glanced back at the warriors who followed him. His heart swelled with pride as his gaze traveled over each one. Sandstorm, his beloved. Graystripe, the truest friend any cat ever had. Brackenfur, sensible and loyal. Whitestorm, his wise deputy. Thornclaw, the newest warrior of ThunderClan, looking tense and eager at the prospect of his first battle. Longtail, who had discovered at last where his heart lay. Frostfur and Mousefur, a formidable pair of she-cats. Dustpelt, reserved but true-hearted, and his apprentice, Ashpaw. Firestar's own apprentice, Bramblepaw. A glow in his amber eyes, and his fur bristling. And Cloudtail, a wayward but committed to his clan, with Brightheart, the cat he had brought back from the brink of death. Pain-like claws tore at Firestar's heart as he realized how much they meant to him, and what fearful danger they were facing now. He raised his voice so that they all could hear him. "You know what lies ahead of us," he meowed. "I only want to say one thing. Ever since StarClan placed the four clans in the forest, no leader had ever had a band of warriors like you. Whatever happens, I want you to remember that. There was never a leader like you, Firestar," meowed Graystripe. Firestar shook his head, his throat too choked for words. It was just like Graystripe to compare him to the truly great leaders like Bluestar. But he knew how far short of that he fell. He could only resolve to do his best to live up to his friend's trust in him. Severance never said he was going to eat you. Sandwich said he was going to eat a purple fox with purple eyes in a cave reading a book about cats. No. No. No, 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 no eating me. If you didn't know, the color of these eyes are actually amber. It's just the ambience that changes them to a purple hue. Hang on, watch. I'll show you. They're amber. Crossing the stream, he heard a whisper of movement from the direction of the river and glanced down the slope to see the cats of RiverClan and ShadowClan slipping quietly towards the meeting place. Which can also change color. Exactly. That sounds awful familiar. Firestar signaled a greeting with his tail as the warriors thronged around him, swelling the ranks of his own forces. He was relieved to see that they had kept their promise, though the look of hostility from Blackfoot told him that even though ShadowClan might be fighting on their side this time, they would never be ThunderClan's friends. Firestar spotted Boulder among the ShadowClan warriors. Tawnypaw was there too, looking nervous but determined. Twistyfoot went forwards hesitantly to greet her friends among the RiverClan cats. Touching noses with Shadowpelt. Well, not Shadowpelt, Shadepelt. Touching noses with Shadepelt. Runningnose and Mudfur, the two medicine cats, arrived together. each with an apprentice carrying their supplies, and pushed their way through the throng until they found Cinderpelt. The three united clans went on to the four trees together, with Firestar and Leopardstar in the lead. When they came to the top of the hollow, everything was silent. The breeze was blowing away from them, towards ShadowClan territory, and Firestar felt his pelt prickle with dread. Their scent would be carried to the waiting Blood Clan, while they themselves had no idea where their enemies might be. Greystripe, Mousefur, he whispered. Scout around the hollow. Don't show yourselves. If you see any cats, come back and tell me. The two cats slid off in opposite directions, barely visible shadows in the gray light. Firestar waited, trying to appear calm and confident, thankful for the presence of Whitestorm and Sandstorm close beside him. He had barely time to think about what might happen when Greystripe returned with another cat close behind him. It was Tallstar. Greetings, Firestar, he murmured. WindClan are here, all our warriors, and your friends, Barley and Ravenpaw. The Loners came up as the WindClan leaders spoke their names. We came to help as we promised, Ravenpaw meowed, twinning his tail with Firestar's in greeting. Or fight alongside you, if you'll have us. If we'll have you? Firestar echoed, a purr of gratitude swelling up inside him. You're welcome, you know that. I'm proud to fight with you, Barley mewed. Sandstorm came up to greet her former clanmate, and the two loners took positions beside her. Do you know where Blood Clan is? Firestar asked Tallstar. Tallstar's eyes were blank as he gazed across the hollow to the ShadowClan territory. Somewhere out there, watching, I'd guess. His voice was steady, and Firestar began to envy his calm, unshaken courage, until he caught the WindClan leader's fear scent and heard him mutter under his breath, StarClan, help us! Show us an enemy we can fight! Technically for sandwiches, it's already Valentine's Day. Oh, nice, nice. It is 8:57 p.m. here, so almost 9. Somehow the knowledge that Tallstar was afraid as he was himself only increased Firestar's respect for the older and more experienced leader. Tallstar would never show fear in front of his clan. He would put aside his own feelings to do his duty as leader. Firestar only hoped that he could do the same. Happy Valentine's Day. He peered into the shadows, looking for a sign that Mousefur was on her way back. Almost at once, he caught sight of her bounding towards him. And in the same heartbeat, there was a movement in the clearing below. Dark shapes appeared from the bushes at the foot of the opposite slope as BloodClan advanced in a single menacing line. Firestar's belly clenched in fear when the small figure of Scourge stepped out. I know you're there, the BloodClan leader called. Come and give me your answer. Already wished Miss Sandwich a happy Valentine's Day? Nice. A happy Valentine's to both of you. Firestar paused for a heartbeat and glanced at the cats behind him. Though he knew how terrified they must be, he could see nothing but fierce determination in their faces. Lion Clan was ready for battle. Go on, Firestar, Leopardstar mewed quietly. Her fur was bristling and her ears lay flat against her head, in a mixture of fear and defiance. Lead us. Firestar looked at Tallstar and nodded. You spoke for us before, he meowed. You're the one who should lead us now. We all trust you. Firestar led the united clans down into the clearing. Scourge was waiting for him near the base of the great rock. His black pelt was neatly groomed, and he sat with his paws tucked under him. His eyes were chips of ice, and the rising sun glinted on the teeth that studded his kitty pet collar. "Greetings," he meowed. He swiped his tongue around his jaws, as if he were tasting a succulent piece of prey. "Have you decided to leave? Or do you presume you can fight against BloodClan?" "We don't have to fight," Firestar replied steadily. To his surprise, he felt icily calm. "We'll let you go back to Two Lake Place in peace." Skirts let out a cold growl of laughter. "Go back? Do you really think we're such cowards? No, this is our home now." Feeling the last spark of hope drain out of his paws, Firestar looked past Scourge at the ranks of his BloodClan warriors. These were lean, tough cats, most of them wearing collars studded with teeth like Scourge, the trophies of earlier battles. Some were flexing claws, strengthened the dog's teeth, and Firestar remembered the way Scourge's claws had ripped through Tigerstar's belly. Their eyes glittered as they waited for the order to attack. "The forest is ours," Firestar told the black cat. "We rule here by the will of StarClan." "StarClan?" Scourge sneered. "Tails for kits, forest fool. StarClan won't help you now." He sprang to his paws, his fur suddenly bristling out so he looked twice his size. "Attack!" he snarled. The line of BloodClan warriors surged forwards. "Lion Clan! Attack!" Firestar yelled. He sprang towards Scourge, but the BloodClan leader dodged nimbly to one side. A huge tabby tom leaped into his place, hitting Firestar in the flank, knocking him off his paws. The clearing was silent no longer, as Firestar batted with his hind paws at the BloodClan warrior. He heard cats crashing through the undergrowth all around the hollow. Leopardstar bounded out of the bushes with Tallstar. Blackfoot raced towards the head of a tight knot of ShadowClan warriors, and Whitestorm ran at the head of the cats of ThunderClan. As all four forest clans poured into the clearing and fell snarling on their enemies, Firestar managed to throw off the BloodClan cat and scrambled to his paws. Scourge had vanished. Firestar was surrounded by a heaving mass of cats. He was amazed at how swiftly chaos had descended. He spotted Greystripe battling bravely with a huge black tom, and Willowpelt rolling on the ground, her teeth locked in the shoulder of a BloodClan tortoiseshell. Longtail was nearby too, squirming helplessly under the weight of two BloodClan warriors. Firestar hurled himself into combat and dragged one of the cats away, feeling the strength of the muscular body as the enemy warrior turned on him. He felt claws slash into his shoulder and raked his own claws across the warrior's face. Blood welled out of the gash on his forehead, dripping into its eyes. Blinded, the cat lost its grip on Firestar, and he aimed a final blow before leaping back, whirling around in search of Longtail. The pale tabby had driven off his other adversary, but he was bleeding deeply from his shoulder and flank. Firestar saw Cinderpelt limp rapidly out of the bushes. She nudged Longtail to his feet and helped him, staggering away from the thick of the fighting. Firestar sprang back into battle. One whisker flashed past him, pursuing a BloodClan warrior, and he caught a glimpse of Mistyfoot fighting shoulder to shoulder with Featherpaw and Stormpaw. Brightheart was weaving in front of BloodClan Tabby twice her size. Her new fighting techniques already confusing the huge tomcat. Cloudtail fought beside her. Brightheart dodged beneath her enemy's outstretched paws, raking her claws down his nose. The tabby turned and fled. Cloudtail let out a yowl of triumph, and the two cats wheeled around as one flung themselves back into the whirling mob of cats. Not far away, Barley and Ravenpaw were battling side by side against a pair of identical gray tomcats. Lean warriors whose collars bristled with teeth. "I know you," one of them spat at Barley. "You didn't have the courage to stay with Scourge." Sandwich wonders if it's a love story. You hear all the scuffling and battling, and you're like, is this a love story? No! Mm-mm. We're having a massive battle right now. What are you talking about? "At least I had the courage to leave," Barley hissed back at him, rearing up to swipe forepaws at the Grey Warrior's ears. "It's your turn to run. You don't belong here." Ravenpaw pressed forwards beside him, and the two Blood Clan warriors were gradually forced back into the bushes. A white Blood Clan warrior burst into the open just beside them, with Morning Flower slashing fiercely at his haunches as he fled from her. "Gorsepaw! Gorsepaw!" she yelled, giving voice to all her grief for her dead son. She leaped on the warrior and brought him down, clawing out pawfuls of white fur. Firestar looked for Scourge. There would be no victory until the Blood Clan leader was dead, and in a moment's breath, Firestar reflected how strange it was that the final battle for the forest would not be with Tigerstar, but with Tigerstar's murderer. But the Blood Clan leader was nowhere to be seen, fighting his way towards the base of the Great Rock, lashing out with teeth and claws. Firestar came face to face with a skinny gray she-cat. Her green eyes glinted with hatred as she launched herself at him, her teeth and claws digging into his shoulder. Firestar felt her teeth-studded collar crushing his face as she bit down. He twisted, tearing his neck fur free of the Blood Clan warrior's teeth and launching himself at her unprotected belly. To score his claws down it, the she-cat sprang back and fled into the bushes. Firestar stood panting, blood welling from his shoulder. How long could he keep this up, he wondered, before he grew too weak to carry on? There seemed as many Blood Clan warriors as ever in the hollow, all strong and healthy and skilled in combat. Would the battle never end? A Blood Clan tortoiseshell loomed up in front of him, its face distorted with a screech of hatred. In the same heartbeat, a dark shape shot out of the bushes, barreling into the tortoiseshell's side and shoving her away from Firestar. Astonished, Firestar recognized Darkstripe. Had the Dark Warrior decided at last that his loyalties belonged to ThunderClan? A moment later, he realized how wrong he was. Darkstripe whirled to face him, hissing, "You're mine, kitty pet. It's time for you to die." Firestar braced himself for the attack. "So now you're fighting on the side of Tigerstar's murderer?" He taunted Darkstripe. "Have you no loyalty in you?" "Not anymore," Darkstripe snarled. "Every cat in the forest can turn to crow food for all I care. All I want to see is you dead." Firestar slipped to one side as Darkstripe leaped towards him. But one of the Dark Warrior's paws caught him on the side of the head, and he lost his footing. Darkstripe landed on top of him and pinned him down. Firestar twisted, trying to free his hind paws. He scrabbled furiously at Darkstripe's belly, but could not shake him off. The warrior bared his teeth, aiming for Firestar's neck. Firestar braced himself for a last desperate effort. Suddenly, Darkstripe's body rolled off him. Firestar got to his paws to see Greystripe struggling with his old clanmate in a screeching knot of fur and claws. Greystripe's pelt was torn and his shoulder glistened with blood from an earlier wound. But before Firestar could move to help him, he flung Darkstripe to the ground and landed on top of him, panting. "Traitor!" he hissed. Sandwich includes all of the dark side of Darth Vader. Fair, I guess. Darkstripe writhed violently, scoring deep gouges in the earth, but he couldn't throw off the Grey Warrior. "Fox dung!" he spat. He twisted his head, trying to sink his teeth in Greystripe's neck. Oh. Thank you for the hydrate and posture check. I'll do that real quick. Probably gonna end up making me growl more. There we go. Greystripe lashed out with one forepaw. His claws pierced Darkstripe's throat, and blood gushed out. The dark tabby gave one convulsive shudder. His jaw parted as he fought for breath. "There's nothing left," he choked out. "It's all dark. Everything's gone." Firestar saw his eyes glazing, a terrible emptiness in them. His struggles faded and his body went limp. Hydrates transforms the ah into ah. Spitting contemptuously, Greystripe scrambled off him. "One less traitor in the forest," he snarled. Firestar touched his nose to Greystripe's shoulder. Suddenly, Greystripe went rigid, staring past his leader. "Firestar," he rasped. Firestar whirled around to see Sandstorm and Dustpelt fighting side by side at the edge of the battle. They didn't seem to need his help, and at first he couldn't understand what had distressed Greystripe. Then the massive cats parted briefly to reveal Bone, the huge Blood Clan deputy. Crouched over another cat who moved feebly beneath him. So much blood clotted the victim's fur that Firestar could not hardly make out its color, and it took him a couple of heartbeats to recognize Whitestorm. "No!" he yowled. He hurled himself at Bone with Greystripe hard on his paws. Bone sprang backwards, only to cannon into Bramblepaw and Ashpaw. He came charging across the clearing at the same moment. Firestar saw his apprentice leap on the huge deputy's back, while Ashpaw bit down into its hind leg. Confident that Bone would be distracted for a while, Firestar crouched beside Whitestorm, almost oblivious to the battle that surged around them. Recognition glimmered in the White Warrior's eyes when he saw Firestar and the tip of his tail twitched. "Goodbye, Firestar," he rasped. "Whitestorm, no!" Firestar felt a wail of agony building up inside of him. He should never have brought his deputy into this battle, when all along the White Warrior had seemed to know that it would be his last. "Greystripe, find Cinderpelt." Too late, Whitestorm breathed. "I go to hunt with StarClan." "You can't. The clan needs you. I need you." "You'll find others." The White Warrior's gaze, growing rapidly dimmer, flickered to Greystripe and back again. "Trust your heart, Firestar. You have always known that Greystripe is the cat StarClan destined to be your deputy." Letting out a long sigh, he closed his eyes. "Whitestorm, Firestar wanted to mule his grief like a tiny kid. For a heartbeat, he pushed his nose into his deputy's blood-soaked fur. The only mourning ritual that the battle allowed. Then he turned to Greystripe, who was staring in shock at the old warrior's body. "You heard what he said," Firestar meowed. "He chose you." Rising to his paws, he lifted his voice above the tumult battle. One second, I'm gonna drink some water. Pretty intense, damn. Okay, let me take that one again. Rising to his paws, he lifted his voice above the tumult of battle. "I say these words before the body of Whitestorm, that his spirit may hear and approve my choice. Greystripe will be the new deputy of ThunderClan." A yell of agreement from behind startled him, and Firestar turned to see Sandstorm and Dustpelt pausing to nod briefly at Greystripe before dashing back into the battle again. Stay well hydrated. You need to drink about 10 liters per... No! No. That would actually make your cells explode. Do not do that. Greystripe had not moved, his yellow eyes fixed on Firestar. Are you sure?" "Never sure," Firestar growled. "Now, Greystripe!" Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the BloodClan deputy struggling free from Bramblepaw and Ashpaw. Before Firestar could spring at him, a screech of defiance sounded above the noise of battle, and several more apprentices hurtled across the clearing. Bone was barely visible under the writhing heap of the furious young cats. Bramblepaw and Ashpaw were there, with Featherpaw and Stormpaw, and yes, Tawnypaw. Fighting beside her brother, within a few heartbeats, Bone had stopped trying to defend himself. His body went into a series of spasms, ending in his twitching tail, and as Firestar watched, the twitching stopped. Ashpaw let out a hoarse cry of triumph. At the same instant, Jagged Tooth appeared out of nowhere. Firestar felt his fur stand on end. Once a rogue, then a member of ShadowClan, and now part of the insult to the warrior code that was BloodClan. The massive warrior flung himself on the apprentices and fastened his teeth in the nearest, Bramblepaw, dragging him off Bone's body. At once, Tawnypaw launched herself at the rogue cat. "Let go of my brother," she spat. The rest of the apprentices sprang forwards with her, and Jagged Tooth abruptly dropped Bramblepaw, turning tail and fleeing across the clearing, with all apprentices in pursuit. Breathing hard, Firestar glanced around, and his stomach turned over as he tried to judge how the battle was going. Though Darkstripe and Bone were dead, and Jagged Tooth had been driven off, the clearing still seemed full of BloodClan warriors, yet more were racing down the slope. ThunderClan had lost Whitestorm, and between the battling cats, Firestar caught a glimpse of Torn-Ear from WindClan lying motionless. Brackenfur and Mousefur fought on side by side, but Brackenfur was limping, and Mousefur had deep claw marks stretched all along one side. At the edge of the clearing, Frostfur was dragging herself into the bushes, with Fernpaw helping her and not far away from Runningnose. The ShadowClan medicine cat was pressing cobwebs on a wound in Blackfoot's shoulder, until the ShadowClan deputy took him off and threw himself back into the fray. Leopardstar appeared briefly, yowling hoarse encouragement to her warriors, before she vanished again in the surge of BloodClan cats. "We're losing," Firestar thought, fighting panic. "I must find Scourge." With the BloodClan leader's death, he knew the battle would be over. The cats from Two Leg Place had no sense of tradition or loyalty to the warrior code. Scourge held them together, and without him, there would be nothing. Firestar felt his fur begin to bristle as his gaze found Scourge at last. The small black cat was crouched at the base of the great rock, his claws slicing at a warrior he had trapped there. Firestar's belly lurched as he recognized One Whisker. With a yowl of defiance, he leaped across the clearing. Scourge whipped around, leaving One Whisker to crawl away, bleeding. The Blood Clan leader bared his teeth in a snarl. Firestar. Without warning, he leaped. Firestar rolled with the impact and landed on top of the smaller cat, planting one paw on his neck. But before he could bite down, Scourge wriggled away with the speed of a snake. The dog's teeth on his claws flashed as he raked them across Firestar's shoulder. Sandwich said he had a not-so-funny joke. To become great things, you have to drink a lot. You have to take your cue from water tanks. What? I'm not sure what that means. Confusion. Excruciating pain lanced through Firestar's body. He forced himself not to flinch, but leaped forward again, sending Scourge flying back against the great rock. The cistern's rising very large things. I don't know, I guess. Briefly, the Black Tom was stunned, and Firestar managed to bite down on his foreleg. Pain like fire seared through him again, with another blow from the Blood Clan leader's claws. And in the shock of it, Firestar lost his grip on Scourge. The Blood Clan leader reared back, his paw raised for the death blow. Firestar scrabbled to get away, but he was not fast enough. Agony exploded in his head as the reinforced claw struck down. Flame washed over his eyes, fading to leave nothing but darkness. A soft, black tide was rising to engulf him. He made one final effort to get up, but his paws would not support him, and he fell back into nothingness. That was the end of chapter 28. Chapter 29. Firestar opened his eyes. He was lying on the grass of 4 trees with the moonlight washing around him and the rustle of leaves above his head. For a few heartbeats, he relaxed, reveling in the warm air of Greenleaf. Then he remembered 4 trees as he had last seen it, the branches black and stark in the depths of leaf bare, and the clearing thronged with screeching, warring cats. Abruptly, he sat up. He was not alone. The warriors of StarClan lined the clearing, illuminating it with the shimmer of their pelts and the gleam in their eyes. In the front rank, Firestar could see the cats who had given him his 9 lives. Blue Star, Yellowfang, and Spotted Leaf, Lionheart, and a newcomer, Whitestorm. Restored to his youthful strength, with starlight glimmering in his thick fur. "Welcome, Firestar," meowed the White Warrior. Firestar scrambled to his paws. Why have you brought me here?" he demanded. "I should be back there, fighting to save my clan." It was Blue Star who replied. "Look, Firestar." Firestar saw there was a space beside her. At first, he thought it was empty, but suddenly he realized that it was filled by the faintest outline of a flame-colored cat. His green eyes glowed so pale they barely reflected the starlight that filled the hollow, but Firestar recognized him at once. You have lost your first life. Bluestar meowed gently. A shiver ran through Firestar. So this is what it felt like to die. He stared in mingled curiosity and fear at the pale copy of himself in the middle of the clearing. When his gaze locked with the ghost cats, he suddenly saw himself, hunched and bleeding, his fur ragged and the light of desperation burning in his eyes. Firestar wrenched his head, aside to break contact. There was no time for this. Surely the whole point of having 9 lives was so that he could keep going. Send me back, he begged. If we're losing the battle, BloodClan will rule the forest. Sandwich thinks that the word fire is in Firestar, so Sandwich thinks of braised chicken. Oh my gosh. Bluestar stepped forwards. Patience, Firestar. Your body needs a moment to recover. You'll go back soon enough. But it might not be in time. Bluestar, why are you letting this happen? Will StarClan not help us even now? The former ThunderClan leader did not reply directly. Instead, she sat down, her blue eyes glowing with wisdom. No cat could have done more than you for ThunderClan, she meowed. Even though you are not forest-born, you have the heart of a true clan cat. More than ever, Tigerstar or Darkstripe did. For though they taunted you with being a kitty pet, they both ended up betraying the clan of their birth for the sake of their own ambition. Firestar's paws worked impatiently in the grass. What was the use of empty praise? He could not tear his mind away from what was happening in the other clearing, where the loyal cats were fighting and dying. Bluestar. The she-cat raised her tail to silence him. Perhaps your quarrel with Tigerstar gave you the strength you need, she went on. All along, you did what you thought was right, even when your clanmates disagreed with you. You suffered loneliness and uncertainty, and that has made you what you are now, a gifted, intelligent leader, with the courage to lead your clan in its darkest hour. But I'm not leading them, Firestar hissed. And I can't save them. I'm not strong enough. We're going to lose the battle. Bluestar, this can't be the will of StarClan. We've always believed our warrior ancestors wanted there to be 4 clans in the forest. Have we been so wrong? There was a ripple of movement from the front rank of the Star Warriors. Firestar sat there as Bluestar rose to her paws, as she was joined by the other 8 cats who had given Firestar a life at the ceremony beside the moonstone. All 9 of them encircled the young cat, who stood defiantly in the center of the clearing. A voice spoke, not Bluestar this time, but an echo vibrating inside of Firestar's head, as if all 9 cats were speaking to him at once. Firestar, you are wrong. There are never 4 clans in the forest. As Firestar stared, rigid with shock, the voice went on. There were always 5. Firestar felt 9 pairs of eyes, a light with wisdom, rest on him. Fight bravely, Firestar. You may return to the battle now, and the spirits of StarClan will go with you. The shapes of the StarClan warriors seemed to dissolve into light. Firestar felt their strength flooding through him, as water soaked into the thirsty ground, and he knew the courage that came with faith restored. Sandwich thinks of the word Bluestar and notices that it contains blue, so Sandwich thinks of blueberries. Well, Bluestar had like a very silver pelt, and when it was moon high, It was like a blue silver. And that's how Blue Star was named Blue Star. It was the pelt color. He opened his eyes. The sound of battle rushed into his ears, and he sprang to his paws. Straight in front of him, he saw Cloudtail battling with Scourge. The young white warrior was on the ground, blood flowing freely from his wounds, as Scourge shook him off by the scruff and raked claws across his flank. But Cloudtail had his teeth fashioned in Scourge's leg, and even though he was terribly injured, he would not let go. Right, word AO. Scourge, Firestar yowled. Turn and face me. The small black cat whipped around, letting go of Cloudtail in his shock. How? I killed you. You did, Firestar spat back at him. But I am the leader with 9 lives who fights alongside StarClan. Could you say as much? For the first time, he thought he saw a flicker of uncertainty in Scourge's cold eyes, and at last, Firestar understood what Barley had told him. Scourge's lack of belief in StarClan was his greatest weakness. Without belief, without the laws and customs of forest clans, Scourge did not have the 9 lives of a true leader. When he died, he would be dead forever. The Blood Clan leader's uncertainty lasted no more than a heartbeat. He aimed a final blow at Cloudtail, dislodging the weakening warrior and tossing him up against the great rock. Firestar launched himself at his enemy, and with every stride, he was aware of the StarClan warriors racing alongside him, matching his pace. Lionheart's golden strength, the lithe, muscular body of Running Wind, Redtail's dark fur, his bushy red tail streaming out behind him, Yellowfang with her claws outstretched, Spotted Leaf, swift and determined, Blue Star with all her strength and skill in battle restored. Firestar seemed to cover the ground on winged paws. His claws raked along Scourge's side, and he dodged a blow to the head like the one that had claimed his first life. But Scourge was fast. He flung himself between Firestar's outstretched paws and aimed for his belly, trying to rip him open with the same flick that had destroyed Tiger Star. Firestar barely drew back in time. Now he was on the defensive, trying to avoid the gashing claws and still get close enough to Scourge to land a blow of his own. He managed to grip the Blood Clan leader near the base of his tail, and the 2 cats rolled over and over on the grass, a shrieking whirl of teeth and claws. When they broke apart, Firestar saw his own blood spattered across the grass, and he knew he had to finish this fight quickly before he weakened again. Sandwich thinks about the music going from hate to love. I love you and I hate you. Sandwich knew it was a love story. Oh my god. It's just chill music to have in the background, you know. That's kind of amusing. That's what you think, though. When the old trick came back into his mind, he scarcely believed it could work against a fighter like Scourge, but he could think of nothing else. He dug his front paws into the blood-stained turf and crouched in front of his enemy as if he were giving in, every muscle tensed in readiness. Scourge let out a yowl of triumph and leaped at him. In the same heartbeat, Firestar hurled himself upwards, crashing into Scourge's belly and thrusting him backwards onto the ground. His claws slashed through Scourge's pelt, and his teeth met in the black cat's throat until he tasted a gush of warm blood. Firestar was dimly aware of Scourge's claws flailing viciously at his shoulders, but he held on, raking his enemy's belly with his hind paws until the blows that were falling on him grew weaker. Firestar shook his head, scattering thick drops of blood from his eyes. He released Scourge's throat and drew back to deal the death blow from an unpraised paw. But there was no need. Scourge's eyes were fixed on him, dark pits of hatred, and his body jerked convulsively. He tried to snarl defiance, but the only sound was blood bubbling in his torn throat. His twitching limbs grew still, and his eyes stared sightlessly at the sky. Flanks heaving, his breath coming in agonizing gasps, Firestar gazed down at his dead enemy. Who knew where this cat's spirit was heading? Not to the ranks of StarClan, that was for sure. A skinny black and white BloodClan cat, battling with Tallstar a couple tail lengths away, when he caught sight of Scourge's lifeless body. The BloodClan warrior froze, staring and scarcely seeming to notice when Tallstar raked his claws down the side of his head. "Scourge!" he gasped. "No, no!" He backed away, then turned and fled, blundering into another BloodClan warrior as he made for the bushes. The second warrior spat furiously and launched himself at Firestar, but before he could attack, he too saw the body of his dead leader. A terrible wailing broke from him. "Scourge! Scourge is dead!" As the cry rose above the screeches of battling cats, Firestar saw the warriors of BloodClan falter and stop. As they realized that they had lost their leader, they turned and fled. To Firestar's dazed eyes, the Two Lake Place cats seemed to have shrunk. They were no longer fearsome warriors, but ordinary cats had no place in the forest. Slower than WindClan, duller than RiverClan, scrawnier than ShadowClan. All their menace was gone, and with a cry of triumph, the forest cats surged after them and chased them out of the hollow. Numb with exhaustion, Firestar hardly had the strength to understand that his cats, LionClan, had won. The forest belonged to StarClan once again. That was the end of chapter 29. I'm going to take another quick break. Then we will finish up with chapter 30. And then maybe if someone has anyone for me to, read out after that chapter, then we'll do that. Be right back. guys ready for the last chapter? We're finally finishing the first part, the first series, the beginning of the prophecy series. Let's go. Sandwich also has a cat he called it a salad bowl, or saladier in French, AO. You'd actually be called a cat salad. That's amusing. Chapter 30. The clearing fell silent. Blood glistened on the grass as a cold sunlight sliced through the trees. Cloudtail struggled to his paws and staggered over to stand beside Firestar, looking down at Scourge's lifeless black body. "You did it, Firestar," he panted. "You saved the forest." Firestar gave the young warrior a lick. "We all did," he meowed. He thought back to the trouble his kin had caused when he first arrived in the forest. In those days, Firestar would never have imagined he could have felt so proud of his wayward nephew. "Go and find Cinderpelt and get yourself something for those wounds." Cloudtail nodded and limped off across the clearing. Looking around, Firestar saw that the warriors from each of the 4 clans were gathering around their medicine cats at the edge of the clearing. One had become 4 again. Lion Clan is no more. At first, he couldn't see Sandstorm, and he felt a panic welling up inside of him. He was not sure he could bear it if he had lost her. Then he saw her stumbling wearily across the clearing. The fur along one flank was stiff with drying blood, but Firestar could see that her injuries were not serious. "Thanks, StarClan," he breathed. He crossed the clearing in 2 bounds, and Sandstorm turned her head to look at him. Her green gaze filled with relief. "We did it," she murmured. "We drove out BloodClan." Firestar suddenly felt lightheaded, as if the whole 4 trees were spinning around him. "Oh, hi, Holy. Welcome in. We're on the last chapter." "Steady," urged Sandstorm, supporting him with her shoulder. "You've lost a lot of blood. Come and see Cinderpelt." Firestar staggered the rest of the way, drinking in Sandstorm's scent and feeling comforted by the softness of her fur. When they reached Cinderpelt, he collapsed on the ground. Thank you for collecting your check-in, Sandwich. When they reached Cinderpelt, he collapsed on the ground, wondering if he were about to lose another life. Then he realized he could still hear the sounds all around him in the clearing, and the pain of his scratches throbbed, instead of fading as Fernpaw started pressing cobwebs to the worst of his wounds. "Is he okay?" That was Greystripe's voice. "Hey, come on, Firestar. You can't give up now." "I'm not. I'm tired, that's all." Firestar blinked up at the Grey Warrior. "Don't worry. You won't have to be a leader for a while yet." "Firestar." Sandstorm gently prodded his shoulder. "There are more cats coming." Firestar sat up to see a group of RiverClan cats padding towards him, headed by Leopardstar. The RiverClan leader dipped her head towards Firestar. Claw marks covered her pelt, but her eyes were clear and she carried her tail high. "Well done, Firestar," she meowed. "They tell me you killed Scourge." "Every cat fought well," Firestar replied. "We wouldn't have won unless all the clans joined together." "True enough," Leopardstar conceded. "But now we must separate again. I'm going to take my clan home. We must care for our wounded and grieve for our dead." "And ShadowClan?" Firestar inquired. "ShadowClan must go back to their own home," Leopardstar replied firmly. "I have a new deputy and enough warriors to defend our territory if ShadowClan don't respect our borders." "Who's the new deputy?" Firestar asked curiously. "Mistyfoot. meowed the River Clan leader, a glint in her eyes. As Firestar stared in astonishment, Mistyfoot emerged from the ThunderClan cats, followed by Featherpaw and Stormpaw. "I'm going with Leopardstar," she explained, fixing Firestar with her mother's ice-blue gaze. "I'll always be grateful for what you did, but I'm a River Clan cat at heart." Firestar nodded. He never expected Mistyfoot to change her allegiance completely from her birth clan. "But as deputy," he meowed, "after what happened to Stonefur." There was a deep grief in Mistyfoot's eyes, but her determination did not waver. "Leopardstar asked me just before the battle started," she explained. "I said I'd think about it, and now I know I have to do it for Stonefur's sake, and for the sake of the clan." Firestar dipped his head, respecting the hard decision she made. "Then StarClan go with you," he meowed. "And may you always be a friend to ThunderClan." The two young cats beside Mistyfoot glanced uncertainly from Firestar to Leopardstar. "We're going too," Stormpaw mewed. "RiverClan has lost many warriors. They need us." Featherpaw padded up to Greystripe and touched noses with him. "You'll come visit us, won't you?" "Tried to stop me." Greystripe's voice was muffled, and his eyes were filled with pain of the kit's divided loyalty and heritage. "Be the best warriors you can, and make me proud of you." "You've got something to live up to," Firestar added. "Your father is ThunderClan deputy now." He tried to imagine a cat sandwich. The only image he had was a cat spinning around and going, "Ooh, yeah." Oh gosh, not that image, oh gosh. Now it's playing in my mind. Why did you do that to me? The two apprentices pressed close to their father, entwined their tails with his. Leopardstar gave them a moment to be together before signaling them and the young cats to fall in behind her. The River Clan cats vanished into the bushes and up the slope towards their own territory. Firestar's gaze fell on the group of Shadow Clan cats not far away, and he noticed that Bramblepaw was with them, talking to his sister. Firestar rose to his paws and limped slowly towards them. Blackfoot got up to meet him as he approached. "Firestar." The Shadow Clan deputy narrowed his eyes. "So we won the battle after all." "Yes, we did," Firestar agreed, adding, "What will you do now, Blackfoot?" "Take my clan home and prepare for a journey to High Stones. I'm their leader now. They have much to do to recover, but life in the forest would go on as usual." "Then I'll see you at the next gathering. And Blackfoot, you would do well to learn from the mistakes of your predecessors. I saw what you did to Stonefur at the Bone Hill." A shadow flitted across Blackfoot's eyes. He did not reply. Sandwich wanted to tell you something, but he forgot, so he's not saying anything for Rip. Firestar flicked his tail to beckon Bramblepaw, who pressed his muzzle briefly against Tinypaw's flank and slipped through the Shadow Clan cats to his mentor's side. Blackfoot rounded up his cats and led them out of the clearing. Redingnose, the medicine cat, brought up with the rear with a glance at Firestar as he went. Firestar hoped he had better luck with this new leader after the trouble he had endured with Nightstar and Tigerstar. Firestar turned back to his own clan and found himself face to face with Barley and Ravenpaw. "I wouldn't trust Blackfoot," murmured Ravenpaw, watching the last of the Shadow Clan warriors disappear into the bushes. "He's a troublemaker if I ever saw one." "I know," Firestar replied. "Don't worry, ThunderClan will be ready if he starts anything. At least with Scourge dead, the cats from the Two Lake Place will have a place to... I need water. There we go. Now let me try and retake that sentence. At least with Scourge dead, the cats from Two Lake Place will have the chance to live in peace, Barley remarked with feeling. They might have a better life now. You want to go back to Two Lake Place yourself? Firestar inquired. Not on your life. Barley's tail shot straight up. We're heading straight for home. But it was good to fight with ThunderClan again, added Ravenpaw. ThunderClan will always be grateful to you, Firestar told them warmly. You're free to come into our territory anytime. And you must visit us at the farm whenever you make journey to Highstones, Barley mewed as they turned away. I expect we'll be able to spare a mouse or two. With RiverClan and ShadowClan accounted for, Firestar wanted to check in with WindClan before he gathered his own cats and headed back to camp. There was a small group of WindClan warriors clustered around Barkface, the medicine cat. Geez, the bow. But nowhere near as many as there should have been. Tallstar himself was missing. A prickle of fear ran through Firestar's flame-colored pelt. Nice stream streak, by the way, Holy. 15. GG. Then he saw WindClan leader emerging from the bushes on the far side of the clearing. Mudclaw and Morningcloud and a couple of apprentices were with him. All 5 cats were panting hard, as if they had been running. Firestar bounded towards them, expecting to see enemy cats burst into the clearing in pursuit. What's going on? He demanded. My blood clan chasing you. Tallstar let out a satisfied purr. No, Firestar. We chased them. We followed them as far as the Thunder Path. They won't be back here in a hurry. Good, Firestar meowed with deep appreciation. He saw a similar glow in Morningcloud's eyes, and realized that at last she had felt avenged for the death of Gorsepaw. Taking a deep breath, Firestar dipped his head towards Tallstar and meowed. We have no further need for Lion Clan. There are 4 clans in the forest again. You could see that the older leader understood what he was saying. They were no longer allies, but rivals, who can meet in friendship only at gatherings. We owe you our freedom, meowed the WindClan leader. He dipped his head and headed towards the rest of his warriors at the far side of the clearing. Alone for the first time, Firestar scrambled up the top of the great rock. The sickening stench of blood rose around him, but up here he could look out over the forest and dare to believe that soon the battle would be no more than a distant memory. He imagined the spirits of StarClan all around him, sharing the leadership of his clan. They would be beside him every paw step until he gave up his last life and went to join them. Thank you, StarClan, he murmured. Thank you for staying with us, 5th clan of the forest. How could I have ever thought that I faced this battle alone? Suddenly, he smelled a familiar scent and felt the soft touch of Spotted Leaf's pelt brushing against his fur. Her breath was warm in his ear. You are never alone, Firestar. Your clan will live on, and I will watch over you forever. For a moment, Firestar felt all the pain of loss afresh, as his beloved medicine cat had not died many moons ago. But in this very battle, then his ears pricked at the sound of claws on rock, and as Spotted Leaf's scent faded, Firestar saw Graystripe and Sandstorm climbing towards him, with Bramblepaw scrambling up behind. Sandstorm pressed her flank to Firestar's. Bluestar was right. Fire did save the clan. And now there are 4 clans again, Graystripe added. Just as there should be. No, there are 5, Firestar thought. He looked down over the clearing, and the trees that stretched as far as he could see, and his senses filled with sounds and scents of his forest home. 1,000 secret whispers told him that new leaf was stirring in the cold earth, shooting up new green fronds and rousing the prey from its long leaf bare sleep. The rising sun broke over the trees and flooded the clearing with light and warmth, and it seemed to Firestar that no dawn had ever been brighter. That is the end of the book. It's a pretty good ending. There's no cliffhangers for any of the other ones. It's a complete series. I'd say it's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my raid message, and then we're gonna see who the heck we're gonna be able to raid, because I don't know who's live right now. So give me a moment. I'm also gonna make the poll before I leave. So let me go to the polls on my Discord. And we're gonna make a poll that says we either start the Ranger's Apprentice series or start the following series of Warriors. So let me do that real quick. Poll question. Let me go put this book up real quick and see what the next one's called. Let's see. So this one is the New Prophecy series. Okay. So I'll put that book right there. So let's put this in here. I'm trying to see if I'm spelling prophecies right. I don't smell, you smell. I see the posture check. How dare you? I've completely forgot to actually remove that, so you're lucky. New prophecy. And then we have the Ranger's Apprentice. This one's 6 books. 6 books, and this one is 12. And we're gonna add only single one that you can tick on. Gonna add button, and let's do a time. I guess we could do 7 days, since next week we're gonna be doing the hand cam stream. So, bam, poll done. If you want to vote on that poll, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the past poll because we already know that we're gonna do the hand cam stream next week. Sandwich asks if he hasn't seen the messages. Oh. Yes, you're okay. Holy just knows, Holy's my regular, and he kind of knows some of the commands that are secret. And Stream Elements has one of those commands, and he can automatically delete his own messages. You've been taken out from calling. What do you mean? I didn't take you out. You deleted your own messages. Don't you start that. Don't you even attempt to say that. I did not do crap. Okay, let's see. We're gonna copy this message, and then I'm going to look at who's streaming on my follow list. Here we go. So that's the raid message, and let's see who do I have active right now? I don't really feel like going to either of them because they have like over 60 people, and I always feel like I'm intruding. Is there like anyone with, you know, maybe similar vibe? Maybe I won't end up raiding out today. I'm scrolling through the list and then I see one of them and it's like, and the title is "I Will Seduce You," and I'm like, oh, wow. Some of these ASMR artists are just like, they do like the boyfriend girlfriend thing, you know? I mean, people fall for it, but then you like get the crazies. Ugh, I could never. Yeah, I don't see anyone that I want to raid, so I guess we're not going to raid today. I don't have anyone as recommended, so yeah. Alright, you guys, I put the poll up in the Discord. Here, let me put the Discord link again, just in case anyone wants to join. And you can scroll down to polls and then just click on either of the buttons. But yeah, thank you guys for coming by today. I hope you guys enjoyed the series. If you didn't know, I also end up posting all the videos on YouTube. So all of the VODs for the entire Warriors Cat series is on YouTube right now. So if you liked it and you want to just go back instead of, you know, buying the book, but it's a good series. And it doesn't cost that much, to be honest. I think I got all the series, all 5 of them, for like $50 or something like that. But yeah. So I will see you guys next week. We will be doing that hand cam stream. And if you want to vote, head to Discord. Other than that, I will see you guys later. Bye bye.